What's poppin', people? What's poppin'? What's poppin'? In one of my recent videos called Conversations About Dating Attracts Weirdos, Retards, and Rejects Online, I mentioned this topic about how 2.7 million males in America right now are missing from the job market, which has an effect on the U.S. economy right now. So this is the article that is about the topic, and this is from USA Today, and the link to this article is located in the video description box underneath. The title is "Millions of Men Are Leaving the Workforce. Here's the lasting impact that has on the economy." Now, I'm not going to read the entire article. I'm just going to skip down to this paragraph right here. So if you want to read the entire article for yourself, once again, hit the link in the video description box underneath. You can read it for yourself. But I'm going to read this. It says, what is the labor force participation rate for 25 to 54? In January, the share of 25 to 54-year-old men working or job hunting was at 88.5%, below the pre-pandemic mark of 89.2%. By contrast, the participation rate for women in that age group had climbed to 76.9%, effectively back to its pre-pandemic level of 77%. Let me stop right here. So what this paragraph is saying is that right now we're living in the post-pandemic period. And right now in this post-pandemic period, there are less males between the ages of 25 and 54 who are in the workforce than there were before the pandemic. Meanwhile, the amount of females who's involved in the workforce between that same age range is basically the same amount as the females who was involved in the workforce before the pandemic, which means that there are less males that is involved in America's workforce. All right. And I'll continue reading. It says this: if the participation rate for prime age men was at its 1990 level, there would be an additional 2.7 million of them in the workforce. Estimates economist Justin Beckley of Moody's Analytics, and that could mean a big shot in the arm for the economy. Yeah. So basically, if there was as much men in the workforce as there were 30 something years ago, then that means that there'll be 2.7 million more men at work or involved in America's workforce. So that has an impact on the economy. Instead of these males in this part of YouTube putting so much emphasis on Michael B. Jordan supposedly checking some interviewer that he went to high school with that called him corny. This is some shit that we need to focus on, because this is actually more important than that. But then again, these niggas on here, they think that the most important thing in life is what's in between a female's legs. Does they care about anything that a female say, what a female thinks, and what a female does? Like some real bitch ass niggas, right? But read this article, man. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna skip to this paragraph right here. It says, why did so many US men stop working? Economists have long put much of the blame on the offshoring of manufacturing jobs to China, which I definitely agree with. A trend that picked up steam in the early 2000s after China joined the World Trade Organization, Beckley and Collier note. Let me stop right here. A lot of manufacturing jobs that America once had was not only shipped out to China, it was also shipped out to Latin America, other parts of Southeast Asia like India, and even parts of the Caribbean. So a lot of these manufacturing jobs, which employed lots of men in America, got shipped out overseas. Thus there was less manufacturing jobs available for working age men, especially working age men who don't have a bachelor's degree. You know, so that's one main. I agree that jobs being shipped to other countries, American jobs being shipped to other countries, is one factor as to why you see more unemployed men in today's society in America. But I'll continue reading. A 2021 study by the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond also cites a rise in male substance abuse and even heavy video game use. Ooh, damn. So heavy video game use is correlated with high unemployment. Dudes just sitting there not working, playing video games all day. I mean, hell, I love playing video games, but damn, I can't do that shit all day. But I'll continue reading. Another study several months ago by the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston cites a less obvious reason. Non-college educated men have left the labor force in greater numbers as the shortfall in their wages compared to those of college educated men has increased. From 1980 to 2019, non-college educated men's median weekly earnings fell 17% after adjusting for inflation, while pay for their college educated counterparts increased by 20%. So let me stop right here. So what this article is stating, that according to another study by the Federal Reserve, males who do not hold a college degree have seen less pay, or have seen themselves making less money over time, which discouraged them from participating in the workforce. Meanwhile, college-educated males, according to that study, have seen their wages increase. You know, I'll continue reading. This finding suggests that deteriorating social status is a plausible key factor, the Boston Fed paper concluded. In other words, the lower self-esteem associated with the lower social status has caused some men to simply drop out rather than cope with the stress. It's unclear how they're generating income, but some may be relying on a spouse's earnings or doing occasional work that's not recorded by the Labor Department surveys. Other men leave the labor force to go back to school and bolster their skill set, while still others are hampered by a disability, the paper said. Once again, if you're interested in reading this article in the whole, then I suggest you do that. But this is something that we need to pay a lot more attention to, because who knows what the future could hold when it comes to the employment status of men in the United States. Because if this increases, what I mean by this is that if the unemployment rate of men in the United States continue to rise, that's going to cause a big domino effect in this society, and even bigger domino effect than we can imagine, because men in the workforce is needed so we can have a functioning economy and a functioning infrastructure. Because without men's participation in America's workforce, America's infrastructure can get worse, being that the majority of people who is responsible in the upkeep of America's infrastructure are men, being that they do the majority of the construction in America, and they do the majority of these life-risking type of jobs in order to keep the infrastructure running. So we need to put more emphasis into that and figure out ways on how we can solve these things. All right, man, I'm out. Peace.